Welcome! You are about to watch a teaching from my new Story Reset workshop, which was created for women who sense that there's something underneath the surface that may be shaping their days, their decisions, and their peace. This isn't about fixing yourself. This is about learning how to listen to your mind, your body, and your spirit with compassion and allowing God to meet you there. As you watch, there's no pressure to take notes or to get it right. Simply notice what stands out to you. Often that is where clarity begins. I hope this encourages you, grounds you, and reminds you that you are not behind. You are becoming. Let's begin. A brief moment for us all to settle. And if you want to participate in this, you can. If you want to just listen, just listen. So if you'll just look around wherever you're at and just notice three things and just kind of say them out loud. What is it that you notice? And then if you'll just take a slow breath in through your nose and then take a longer breath out. And then if you're able to, just press your feet lightly into the floor. And then just release. And then quietly say to yourself, I'm safe to be here. And if it feels meaningful, you can also say, God is with me. Thank you for doing that with me or just listening for that. So you don't need to feel any different than when you started. It's just an exercise here to just be present in this moment with what we're going to do today. So for those of you who haven't met me, I'm Coach Mandy-Marie, and I love to empower women to really step into who they really, truly are, despite the obstacles that they face in their lives. And I've been doing this for 13 years now, and had so many opportunities to see women who thought that they were at the end of what they could possibly do and what they could possibly handle in their lives, and move into a place of clarity and confidence. In fact, I was just chatting back and forth on Boxer this morning with a lady that I have worked with for a few years now. And she went through some really, really significant challenges with her marriage and then with her business. And she has been able to move to a completely different space in a state, and then a space in her mind and in her body, as a result of learning that she had every tool that she needs inside of her, and just to bring those tools forward to uncover the hidden patterns that want to sabotage her efforts, and to be able to move forward with confidence has just been amazing to watch over the past few years as that has developed. So this year, or during this workshop, I want to just give each of you a little piece of an understanding of what's already inside of each of you and what patterns may be showing up, so that those patterns can be looked at and understood, so that they no longer sabotage who it is that you want to be more of this year. So we are doing a new story reset so that the same patterns don't write another year. January starts with good intentions. Raise your hand if you've got good intentions with every January, right? Yeah. Thanks, Lisa. And then life happens. It's crazy how life happens, right? The schedules start back up. Getting kids to school, or if you're an empty nester, different schedules, stress, right? Things get louder, emotions get louder, unexpected things happen. And slowly, often without even realizing it, we start stepping back into old ways of being or old patterns. We slip into familiar ways of showing up in our lives. And it's super easy to think, ah, I just don't have enough willpower. If I had more willpower, I'd be able to accomplish all of my goals. I would be able to show up without falling apart when my child yells at me, et cetera, et cetera. But what if the problem really isn't willpower? Most of us have been taught, directly or indirectly, that it's a problem with willpower or motivation, right? We're more motivated, then we wouldn't have the problems that we have. And so I want to go back to, what if that's not really the problem? What if the reason that the same patterns keep showing up is because our body is doing something to protect us? So our bodies or our nervous systems are designed to keep us safe. That's the job of our nervous system. So when we feel this like, I keep going into the same patterns, it's time to look and say, what is my body protecting me from? So just think about this question. What has kept you safe in the past? What is keeping you safe now? And this question will evolve as we go on here with this workshop and make a little more sense to you, I hope. So now let's bring this back closer to home. When I say patterns, I'm not talking about something that's dramatic or abstract. It's actually what is showing up in our minds, our bodies, and our spirits that is sabotaging our efforts to create the lives that we want and to create our responses to our challenges. So our mind communicates through thoughts and inner questions, as we know. Our bodies create or communicate to us through sensations. We'll either have tension or peace, fatigue or energy, urgency or calm, shutdown or openness. And we could probably go on and on with different sensations that our body gives to us. And then our spirit shows up with patterns of closeness or distance, trust or doubt, peace or pressure. And it doesn't matter what our spiritual orientation is. So before we begin to name patterns that are within you, or I should say, before you begin to name those patterns, I want to really orient to something really important. And that is who you are becoming as you move through life and life's challenges. One thing that I like to say a lot to the women that I work with is that we are not trying to create a life where there are no obstacles, because that's ridiculous. And we can never not have an obstacle. We're actually trying to create a life where no matter what the obstacle is that shows up, we know how to move through that obstacle. So at this point, if you don't already have a notebook or a piece of paper, if you would grab that notebook and piece of paper, and we're going to go through this workshopping of a new story for you so that when the old patterns show up, you will know exactly how you are going to respond to those patterns. So the first question is to understand what trait you want to embody more of as you move through the year. So if you'll just write that answer down on your paper. An example would be maybe joy, or more kindness, or sensitivity, or peace, or calm. As you think about that word, please understand that the word is not an expectation. It's just a direction. Now, the next question to answer is, when you think about embodying that trait, what do you start thinking? What are those phrases? And I'm not going to give you examples purposely because I want you to be inside your own brain. What is your brain telling you about embodying that trait? Write those sentences down. Then for the body piece, we want to know what you feel in your body. Do you have a headache? Do you feel fatigue? Do you feel distraught? When you think of embodying that particular trait that you wrote down, what do you feel in your body? And maybe you feel motivated and happy and excited. Great, write that down. Whatever you wrote down, it's really important to understand that your body isn't working against you. It's actually communicating with you. It's sending you a signal. So when we think about the body and the nervous system, there are at least 4 protective responses that we typically go to: fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And you've probably heard these before. Fawning is people pleasing. So when you go into this protective response, meaning when you answer this question here, what do you feel in your body? Think about the protective response of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn does your body want to do? And write that word as well. The next question is, when things are hard, what changes about how you feel about God or your higher power? Do you feel distanced? Do you feel doubt? Do you feel pressure? Or do you feel the opposite of all those? Peace, trust, closeness? But the key word here is what changes when you feel that things are hard, or when things are hard. What changes? So hidden patterns are responses that your system learned to protect you, like we've mentioned before. So they're not a problem. They are just a response of your body doing its job, of your mind doing its job. So our bodies, our nervous systems want to keep us safe. And thank goodness it wants to keep us safe. And the job of the brain is to keep us from pain and to help us to have an immediate reward. So the hidden patterns in our minds, our bodies, and our spirits are not a problem per se. They're just a message. So this story that I'm helping you to write is all about how you are going to respond to the challenges in your mind, your body, and your spirit. So once again then, writing your new story is a practice of response. So now we're going to take the answers that you wrote to those questions, and I'm going to help you craft it into a simple paragraph that will be a guide for you as you encounter this year and its challenges. So let's start with the identity piece. The identity piece is the trait that you wanted to embody, that you want to embody more of this year. This isn't about becoming somebody new. It's about learning to live with who you are with a little bit more safety. Remember, the body wants to feel safe, needs to feel safe. So this is the statement. This year, I am learning to live as a woman who is, and then put that word, that trait that you want to develop more of, put that into the sentence. So write that entire sentence in your notebook. Mona says, I have many words coming up. Okay. Choose like one or two. And the reason why I say that is because we don't want to overwhelm your nervous system with this idea like I got to just do and be. That's very it's not supportive of the female nervous system. It might be supportive of the male nervous system, but it's not supportive of the female nervous system. And that's a whole nother topic for another time. And I'm actually going to do another workshop on that in a couple of months. But so for right now, just choose one or two words that are the trait that you want to be more of. Okay, so then the next phrase is with the mind piece. So it's supernatural that when we decide, like, okay, I'm going to do better at this, be better at this, I want to develop this trait, it's supernatural for all the voices in your head to start chiming off with, oh, you can't do that, and you're not good enough, and who do you think you are, and blah, 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 blah. Okay, so it's normal. Okay, this is the statement. When old thoughts show up, I meet them with awareness instead of judgment. We're just in a space of awareness. And because you had the thought does not mean it's true, does not mean it's real, does not mean that's who you really are. The next statement is with the body piece. So this is a fun piece because we get to go back into the protective patterns and understand which protective pattern really is speaking to us in the moment. So this is where you say, when stress shows up in my body, I pause and respond with, and then you're going to take your chosen reset. And along the bottom here, you can see that I wrote in a reset for each of these protective responses. So if you feel like you're in flight, when you think about embodying that certain trait, then you would say, I pause and respond with putting my feet on the floor and letting my eyes settle. Now these resets, nervous system resets, they're designed specifically for the female nervous system, and they are very simple. I did that very intentionally because the female nervous system often just is in a state of overwhelm and hyperarousal because we have been attuned to that our bodies need this structure of what the male nervous system needs. And that's not the case. And so I have intentionally structured this entire workshop to speak to you as a woman with your nervous system. Okay, Francie said, could you briefly share what the structure is for males so we can contrast? Yeah, so the main regulator for females is oxytocin, and for men, it is dopamine. And I didn't really mean to get into this today, but let me just say this much. In 1973, the government said we're not going to study the female nervous system. We're not going to study the female body because there's too much complication and it's too expensive and there's too many what ifs. That was overturned 20 years later in the early 90s. And it has taken until just the last few years for it actually to take off. So This is, in my opinion, why now regulating the nervous system and the nervous system is becoming a trendy word or talked about so much. Is because literally, according to the woman that is teaching me this, and I'm becoming certified in this, she says the last 5 to 8 years, this is becoming more studied and more understood, and now people are starting to teach about it. So when we say, okay, the dopamine, right? That's the world has taught us like this is how you do it. This is how you are successful. This is how you have the willpower and the motivation to move through your challenges. Is anything that can create that dopamine hit. And really what the female nervous system needs is that oxytocin. Mm, it's the comfort, it's the connection, it's the beauty, it's the love. And many times that has been we've been told as women like you're weak because you feel that way or you operate that way. So everything that I've designed in today's workshop, again, just to reiterate, is to help your nervous system like settle and just absorb. Mona asks, what does pressing the feet mean under freeze? Like just on the floor, just press under on the floor. That's what it means. It's to sends a signal to your body that you're safe to actually move. You don't have to just stay, in this frozen state. So now the spirit piece. Okay, so we come to this place where if you're like me and everybody else that I know, women, like we ebb and flow, right? In our connection with God and our connection with our higher power. And I just want to reiterate, nothing's going wrong. It's okay. You're human. It's fine. Okay. So now we create a statement around how am I going to respond when this happens? So here's a statement. When my faith feels tested, I return to trust rather than fear. Mona says, what about men's stress responses? Would love to hear that contrast as well. Okay, well, that's out of the scope of what I'm doing today. And like I said, it will be in a couple of months. I'm going to do another workshop on this very topic about the nervous system and the men and women and the differences and all of that. But I will just say that men have a 24-hour cycle, it's the circadian rhythm cycle, and women have a 28-day cycle, right? The menstrual cycle. So we're very different. I mean, we all know this, right? But how we respond and give our bodies permission to feel safe, to be safe, to make it to safety, like it's very different for a female versus a male. Hopefully that gave you something to ponder, Mona. So here is just, I combined it all, right? We've got, okay, your identity, like what trait do you want to embody more of this year? And then how are you going to respond in your mind, your body, and your spirit? And then here I just wrote it out in a paragraph form. Maybe this will be easier for some of you to see how I did it here. Yours can look different. There's no wrong answer with this. Now comes the time for this story to start to be usable for you. This is a time where we're not analyzing what you wrote. We're not judging it. We're just allowing it to be what it is. So I'm going to give everybody 30 to 40 seconds to actually read your paragraph, your story out loud. Now, as you read, just pause for a minute if you noticed anything different in your body. And it's okay if you didn't. Just want to bring awareness to a possible shift or something emotional that you may have felt in your body. And if anybody felt anything and they want to share it, just put it into chat. Jenny, I felt more grounded and centered. Hope and encouragement. Mona said the same about grounded and centered. This is how your new response begins. It starts to become familiar. So let's close out this part by just taking a slow breath. In through your nose for 4 and out for 6. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So this story that you've written, it's not something that you work on. It's something that you come back to. You're not meant to do all of these options that I've given you here to return back to your story, but choose one of them. Read it when those familiar thoughts of opposition show up. Record it in your voice and listen to it. Print it and place it somewhere that you can read it. Ellen says, I need to vocalize the family chore help I need. Okay, that's a great realization that you have from reading your story. So I want to name what has happened here for us. You have identified a hidden pattern in your mind, in your body, and in your spirit. Those patterns have the potential of you repeating the same story this year as you had last year. When you faced opposition, when you faced challenges, when you faced hard things, those patterns are what will sabotage your efforts to actually embody the trait that you want to have more of this year. You wrote a story not from pressure or willpower, but from awareness and choice. And so now you have a steady way of responding when these familiar patterns show up. As we close, I want to be very clear about something, and that is that what you just wrote is a really awesome way to move forward in choosing how you will respond this year. And that can be enough. And sometimes support helps things to stick. So I want to briefly share 3 optional ways that if it speaks to you, you can work with me. A new story reflection is taking what you just wrote and anchoring what you've written, because I will return it back to you after you've answered a few more questions from me on a Google form. I will return that reflection back to you so that you have a story that's even a little bit stronger than what we've done today. And you will receive that back as a PDF. And just to illustrate what is possible with this, I want to tell you just quickly, last week I met with Sarah and I was helping her write her new story and doing this reflection. And she is in Tennessee right now and she's knocking doors and selling gym memberships. And it's pretty tough for her. It would be tough for me. And her biggest challenge is getting rejected. And so as we talked through this and as we started this process, she said, I want to be able to knock on somebody's door, and if they say no thanks, that I am okay with it. And that I don't think that, oh, I did something wrong, or I'm not cute enough, or I'm not lovable. I just want to be able to move past that. So after I did the reflection with her, this is what she said. I'm safe to like myself. Sorry, this is what the reflection said. I'm safe to like myself and stay grounded, whatever the answer. I take a slow breath in and out and soften my shoulders, standing steady in who I am, knowing that a no answer has never meant something is wrong with me. And when she read that, I said, "What are you feeling in your body?" And she's like, "Oh, relief." And I said, "I feel it for you." So notice that the meaning didn't change, but what changed is that her ability to know how she was going to respond, that's what changed. And that is what is, I haven't checked in with her this week, but hopefully that's helping her when it still is challenging and hard to knock on those doors, that she goes back to that story. She goes back to the instructions that she gave her body and her brain about how she's going to respond as she knocks on the door, and then if she is rejected. So that is what is possible with this new story reflection. Jenny, do you want to share what your experience was?
Yeah, I was actually just getting it ready to put in the chat, but I will just share that I did this exercise with Mandy-Marie, and she sent me back that reflection, that PDF. And it was pretty interesting because when we're inside our own head and trying to work on what it is we want, we just have blind spots that we can't see. And I didn't realize I had a contradiction in what I wanted and then what how I was feeling about it. And that just was all laid out for me when I saw that response back. It was just so much more clear why I was struggling with the thing I was struggling with. And I just love that moment when you have that shift, kind of that paradigm shift, and all of a sudden it clicks. And so I feel like that's what I experienced as we did this work. And I had a new understanding and appreciation for why the body piece is such a new part of what Mandy-Marie does with us. I think a lot of us are familiar with the mindset work and why it's so important to have good thoughts and to be clear on what you want and to create those things. But when you've done that work and you're still not getting the results, I hadn't been paying attention to these little messages from my body that weren't aligned with what it was I wanted. And I don't know, deep breaths and unclenching your jaw and putting your feet on the ground, all of those things can seem a little unrelated, but as I've started to pay attention to my body and seeing those patterns that are keeping me stuck in that old mindset, I'm excited to work with this and just see how my body might open up to better support what it is what I want.
Thank you. Yes. Amen. Amen. Yes, it's been amazing to begin to really experience this for myself, and then to be able to share it with other people, that women are just, it's amazing to me how thirsty, how hungry women are to understand that their body is giving them a signal, it's giving them a message, as well as their brain. And there's something that can be done about that, that really helps us to step into the best version of ourselves and to really live the life that God put us here to live. So if that's something that interests you in having that reflected back in your new story, here's the QR code, and you'll also get a link in an email as well. So you don't need to do anything now. You can wait for that email if you want. Let me answer what Chrissy says. What if your trait feels really unreachable? Should you change it to something that feels easier? Ah, that's a super good question. So if I was working one-on-one with you, this would be my next question. Why does it feel unreachable to you? What are you hearing in your mind that makes it seem so unreachable? Is it really true? Okay, so that's the mind piece. What does your body want to do? Okay, so that's the subconscious things that are really important to understand. Um, because, well, yeah, if I say I want to make $10 million this year, I mean that's too much of a jump for my brain, and I'm not centered in truth if I say something like that. So that's one side of it. Then the other side of it is, well, I'm just scared. Like I've never done anything like this before. And what if I blah, 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 right? Like all of that. That's what we would want to untangle. So when you say, well, what if it feels really unreachable? Should I change it to something that feels easier? Well, if this is the first time of you kind of doing stuff like this, work like this, possibly. What does your gut tell you? This is actually my most favorite thing to do is to work one-on-one with a woman because Francie's hidden patterns are going to be different than Jenny's, that are going to be different than mine, that are going to be different than Ellen's. Right? We all have different hidden patterns. Are there some similarities? Oh, yeah, absolutely. There are some similarities. But understanding what your personal hidden patterns are and then knowing what to do with them, that's what changes your ability to really embody the trait that you want to develop more this year. So I would love to meet with anybody and do a free call and see if this is a really good fit for you. So the links to all of this will be sent out to you in an email within the next day, and you'll get a replay from this as well. That email will come out in a couple of hours. So I just want you to know that I am so grateful that you showed up, and I am thrilled to be able to share this with each of you to give you just this little nugget of how you can show up differently in the midst of your challenges this year.
I have one that does
Yeah.
not necessarily have to do with this exact call, but another call I did with you.
Yeah.
So I had worked on my story with Mandy-Marie a few weeks ago and discovered that something I had been kind of trying to force on myself it was not even something that like I wanted in my life anymore. And it was so interesting just during that call to kind of see that and let go of it. And I've felt better ever since. So I think it's interesting. You discover different things depending on like what you're ready for, I think. And I just appreciated your help kind of uncovering that.
You're welcome. Thanks, Lori. Yeah, and you bring up a really good point. Timing is everything. And what a person is ready for this week, they might not be ready for 6 months. It was 10 years before I was ready to start learning this. As I embarked in depression for 12 years, and at year 10, I was like, I got to figure this out because I'm sick of the side effects of Prozac. Right? But up until then, literally the thought that constantly paraded across my mind was, this is just my lot. This is my test. I hope I can survive. So it took me 10 years, you know. So there's no, this isn't a marathon, it's not a sprint. It's like just, you know what, when it feels right for you to have some more skills and more understanding, I'm here for you if it's a good fit. Paula, did you want to say something?
I just had a question. With the different fight, flight, or fawn responses,
Yeah.
or freeze, do we have like a dominant one that's more, or like I could kind of see myself in the fawn probably a majority of the time, but the fight sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's different for every different situation and for every different person. So there are no wrong answers. Remember, this is just your body protecting you. It's doing its job. You are not doing something wrong. You are not wrong. You are not bad because you have a protective response. It is literally your body protecting you. Hallelujah.
That helps. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, you're welcome. There you
Sorry,
go.
I'm not very quick.
That's okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to agree with Paula that it feels like one from week to week, depending
Mhm.
on the 28-day cycle,
Yep.
which route I'm going to respond. So I was trying to quickly jot down the ways to handle when I'm in flight mode versus freeze mode.
Yeah.
Also, guys, what would your opinion be? I've noticed that something I've been doing
lately too, when I've gotten overwhelmed, is I'll just grab my phone and play this stupid game that I haven't even played. I found it over Christmas break. And I'm just like, I just want to leave all my kids and just hide in the bathroom for a minute and play this game for 30 minutes. I don't
Yeah.
know if that's freezing or flight, but
Yeah.
it's getting me into trouble. So it's something I just wanted to. I actually, before this meeting, I was like, all right, I'm deleting the game and I'm focusing up.
Yeah, yeah. And I would offer to you to look at that as a message. Okay, why are you wanting to go into the bathroom and play the game for 30 minutes? Now, it seems pretty obvious. My kids are bugging me or whatever, right? Okay, well, that's a good reason. And then to go a little bit deeper. Okay, so what do I think is going to happen because they're bugging me? Right? Like that's how you get into the subconscious sabotage to really understand what's really going on. Because as long as we stay on this top layer of like, oh, well, you know what? I shouldn't have that game and I shouldn't be spending 30 minutes doing it. Like as long as we're shaming ourselves, like nothing changes. And we may delete it for the time, right? But the real underlying issue hasn't been taken care of. It hasn't been resolved. So just food for thought there.
Yeah. Well, the kids still live here, so I guess that's the issue's still there.
Yeah.
Just kidding,
Okay.
guys. No.
Yeah, that's great because then it goes back to, oh, I can respond differently. I can figure out why I'm responding the way I am, and I don't like that. Right? Yeah. Yeah, that's where you step into your power instead of your children and how they respond having your power. It's beautiful. Jenny, yeah, Callie, that's a good question. We all have our own escapes. Yeah, we totally do. And escaping and like I love to sit down with a good book or go take a bubble bath. Yeah. Escaping for escaping's sake is not necessarily bad. Best wishes to all of you this year with your beautiful goals. Time to go pick up my preschooler, says Callie. That's great. Thank you. Thank you, ladies, for joining today. And you'll get a couple of emails in the next little while